Hey there everyone, I'm Michael, and welcome to another LittleBigPlanet video. I hope you guys are okay with me taking this panel in the LittleBigPlanet direction. I really like that game, and it's what got me into programming, so I'm gonna make a few LBP videos here and there. I am going to be switching to a PlayStation 3 for the remainder of these videos, but I'm waiting on something to arrive that'll let me do that, and that is a capture card. But either way, I'm still on PS Now, so let's get into this. In this video, I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to do how to really take advantage of interactive music in LittleBigPlanet. And if you don't know what interactive music is, it is the music in the game that changes as you progress through the level, as in more instruments get added in as you do things. And I'm going to show you from a game dev perspective how I can use audio to improve the feeling of a level. And I'm also going to show you guys how you can handle dynamic thermometer when you're dealing with music. So I'm going to take this entrance and I'm going to move it up in the level. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make it static. And that's a common thing that I will generally do in my levels, is I will make a lot of the geometry and all of the objects that don't need to be moving, I will go into them, and rather than gluing them down to something, I will make them static. And what that'll do is if you have a lot of complicated geometry in the level, when you go in and enable dynamic thermometer, the game will actually... It's going to treat the objects as if they are glued down in that they won't move. However, when the object leaves the loading zone around Sackboy, it's going to go red when we go into this loading zone view. And that's what you want. If the object doesn't go red when you fly away from it, there's a problem and you need to look into it. And generally what that'll be is that the object is glued to something, or there's some sort of logic somewhere that's hardwired into the object. For example, if I went to the other side of the level here, or all the way over here, and I put some sort of object with like a sensor on it. Yeah, okay. So if I put a sensor on this object and wired it into the start gate, or vice versa, this object's loading zone is going to become part of the start gate's loading zone, and it's going to be a massive loading zone, and it's going to load all the stuff that's in between it, and we don't want that. So you want to avoid that. And keeping things static that don't need to be moving means that you don't have to glue things together, meaning that the objects will have smaller loading zones. But that's besides the point. What we want to be doing for interactive music in LittleBigPlanet 3 is we want to be also considering that by using sticker panels to separate our audio objects from the level geometry, because we won't want this sticker panel loading in when we have a massive piece of landscape loading in. We'll only want to load it in when Sackboy is near it, and this allows us to do that. So what we're also going to do is we're going to grab a microchip and we're going to put it on the sticker panel. And once you've done that, you want to tweak the actual sticker panel and go ahead and set the opacity to 0%. If you press the left analog stick down, you're going to go into preview mode, which is what that little icon in the corner next to the pause icon means. And you'll notice that to a player, there's nothing there. And that's what we want. But however, to us as developers, we have the floating sticker panel with the microchip on it, and that is where our level logic is going to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to find an interactive music track that we like. I like this one. It sounds a lot like deadmau5. Alright. So take that interactive music object and place it on the microchip. Then we can have a look at how this all works. So if you haven't played or created levels in LittleBigPlanet before, this is a quick rundown of what interactive music is in the game. you'll notice that there are several volume sliders, and if we run through them, we have our normal instruments for this song. For example, we have Latin drums, which is at 100% by default. Then we have the I'm gonna have to apologize, it's a little annoying for me to read this. Congas and xylophones, so if we turn this up to 100%, there's more depth to the song now. And then we have the toms and whatever the hell that word is, hakes, I think. I am blind, please cut me some slack. But if we turn that up to 100%, we've got even more instruments. And then there's the beat. The bass line. And the synth track. And then we have our start point. And then we have our trigger radius and layer detection. Ignore these values. They're irrelevant, we don't care about them at all. And then there's the visible and play mode, which again, ignore it, we don't care about it, it's in a microchip, it's irrelevant. So the only things we really care about are these instrument tracks and the start point. So I'm gonna turn everything but the Latin drums down to 0%. And that's going to be our music track. Then what we're going to do is, because this is the start of the level and we don't already have music playing, I'm going to grab a player sensor. And this is the really crucial part when it comes to the dynamic thermometer and general level loading optimization, is we're going to actually set the radius and the angle of the player sensor fairly small as it needs to be. For example, I'm going to set this to 10 LBP units and 90 degrees. And I'm going to set the layer detection to 3. And you'll notice that's an extremely small radius. But that's great. It's the minimum radius we need for Sackboy to be able to spawn in this music when we start the level. If we place the sticker panel right below our start gate here, and go into the player sensor, you'll notice that the radius is touching the exact center of the start gate, which means that Sackboy is going to immediately spawn in there and trigger the player sensor. And that's what we want. So wire that player sensor into the music, and we're good to go. As you can see, we've got music. Alright. So what that does is, when we get into dynamic thermometer stuff, that's going to make the level... that's going to mean that the loading zone for the sticker panel is only as large as the loading zone for the level. Which means that it'll only be loaded in when Sackboy is standing near it, and thus it'll unload once we actually leave this area of the level. Which is great for performance. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to create some sort of interactive object in the level that we can use. For example, Sackboy might be completing some sort of puzzle here. Alright, so we're going to take a button. I'm going to place it in the level. Oops, I went a little too low. And for those who don't play Little Big Planet, buttons are wireable objects. Don't do what I just did. Do not glue the button to the bottom of the level. That's going to create a massive loading zone. Instead, go into its tweak and set its physics mode to static. Don't get in the habit of gluing things together unless you absolutely have to. In most cases, you don't. So we're going to take this sticker panel object here with the microchip, and this is also a really good use of it. When you copy an object in Little Big Planet, if you don't modify it, it doesn't take up any additional level space. It's going to become instanced. Which in game dev lingo means that it's a copy of an object in memory, but it's rendered in two different places at once. No, what I meant by that is it's the same object in memory, but it's in two different locations at once, and that's great for performance. We do that a lot with 3D models and sprites. We tend to reuse the same texture and things like that in different spots of the level and stuff like that, so we're not taking up more RAM than we need. And Little Big Planet has that same effect, and I'm trying to find that button right now that I placed down. But, I'm gonna put this here. And then I'm going to go through the level until I find that button. There it is. Okay. So this is where things get a little annoying with the loading zones. And luckily we don't need loading zones in this level, but this is where they get particularly annoying. When we start to deal with connected logic like this. But we don't care about that for now. There are ways around it. Remote tag sensors. But for now, this is going to be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to immediately make this not an instanced object by deleting the player sensor. We've modified it, and now it takes up RAM. But then we're going to take the button, and we're going to wire into the music track. So what this is going to do is when Sackboy pushes the button, something's going to happen in the level. And we're going to indicate that with music. So let's give the congas a chance to play. So we hop in the level and we get our normal backing track. No idea where I put that button. But we gotta find it. I know it's somewhere. Because we stepped on it, and the music started playing more. So we step on this button, and the new instrument track comes into play. Which is awesome. So what does that mean? What I'm essentially doing here is I'm trying to associate actions with music. Which means that when Sackboy does something notable in the level, I'm going to let the player know audibly by adding more instruments to the music. And that's something that you generally want to stick to doing with interactive music. You don't want to just have Sackboy walk by something and suddenly music changes. You can get away with that in certain circumstances, but if you associate it with an event, then the player is going to immediately feel amazing about that event. They're going to feel like they did something. Another thing that I can do is I like to indicate that we're in a puzzle section. For example, let's create some sort of, big dissolve object that Sackboy needs to, get through. I'm trying to find the dissolve material. I can never find the dissolve material. There's the dissolve material. So we're going to take this and I'm going to make it a static mesh. And, I'm going to make it really, really massive. Big 16-layer dissolve material that Sackboy definitely cannot get through. Alright, he definitely can't jump that high. And again, it's started out glued to the bottom of the level, so big loading zone, we don't want that. There we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another one of those instance sticker panel meshes here, these player sensing ones, and we can go in and we can modify the radius, and we're gonna create some sort of, you know, we're gonna create some sort of puzzle indicating track. Alright, we're gonna put it just about here. We're gonna go into it, and I'm going to open the microchip, and with the player sensor, I'm gonna keep it as is, but I'm gonna go ahead and increase the radius quite a lot, and make sure that it encompasses the ground area where Sackboy is going to be standing. That looks about fine. I'm going to actually put it here, right on the dissolve, but don't glue it. We have a static mesh. Sticker pedals have no gravity. You have no reason to ever glue them to things unless they need to follow those things. And even then, there are better ways to do that. But anyway, what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna modify the logic. I'm gonna create a one-shot player sensor. That is a player sensor that's gonna trigger an action once and never again. So I'm gonna do that using a 3-port selector. What this is gonna do is I'm gonna wire the player sensor into port 2 of the selector. Then I'm gonna wire port 2 into whatever action I would like to occur. Playing the music. But then I'm going to immediately wire it into port 3. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to make sure that we put an OR or an AND gate between the player sensor and the selector. And the AND gate is going to be wired into port 2. Yeah, port 2. So instead of the player sensor being wired into that, we're going to wire it into port 2 of the AND gate. And we're going to wire port 1 of the selector into port 1 of the AND gate. So what this is going to do is it's going to check if the selector is set to port 1 and the player is nearby. If it is, then it's going to set the selector port to number 2 and play the song. And then it's going to set the selector port to port 3. And then what that'll do is it'll mean that the song will only trigger once. And then it'll never be able to trigger again, even though the player runs through this area. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the song now, and I'm going to indicate that we have a puzzle for the player to solve by removing that track. Now the song is silent, and I'm going to go and turn up the bass. So if we walk over here, push the button, we've got that sound. And then, oh no, what do we do? We can't continue. What do we do? I guess the bass is making you think. Well, as developers, we need to go in and we need to wire up that logic and decide what the puzzle is going to be. If you want to reset this, by the way, what you need to do is you need to pause the game, go into the selector tweak, and set its current port to number 1. And then unpause the game. And then that'll reset the one shot. And just don't walk in that region again. So, yeah. That's a very common thing I do in my levels, is those one-shot player sensors. And they work pretty well. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to actually wire a switch into the dissolve. But not directly. We're going to do this a little differently. So we're going to take the switch, place it in the level. And this, I believe you might want to leave as dynamic, so just don't glue it down, but leave it as dynamic, otherwise... Actually, let me test this. I don't even know. Can Sackboy still grab the switch? Oh, he can. Alright, so you can leave it as static. Okay, you learn something new every day. Okay, so... I'm gonna take another one of these sticker panels. And the same idea is going to apply. But instead of a player sensor being wired into that AND gate, we're going to actually wire the switch into it. So this is effectively a one-shot switch. Then we can take the output of the selector on port 2 and have it dissolve the material. And then we can indicate progress to the player by turning back up the original tracks. Let's give them a beat, and the bass. So, if we run through the level here... We've indicated progress to Sackboy. I don't know why it's not triggering the puzzle. That's not good. Give me a moment to debug that. So that works fine. What happened? We are still on port number 3, that's why. Also, if you accidentally play music in create mode, pause the game and it'll reset. Alright, we'll hack it up here. Oh crap. I am a silly programmer. Right. Alright, so the level has been reset. There was just a little bit of stuck logic there. My bad. But anyway. We spawn in the level and we get our backing track. Sackboy steps on the button and we've indicated progress. We walk into this puzzle and we're indicated by the music that, hey, there's something you can do here. You've got to solve this problem. We've solved the problem, and now the music's back to normal. But we've also indicated progress by adding in the drums. I can show you an example of this in the LittleBig game dev level. In fact, it'll be the exact same example. So let's go ahead and leave this moon, and we're gonna go into My Earth, and we're gonna play the Pokemon A Friend Indeed level. I will warn you, this is an outdated version compared to what I have on my PS3 right now. But anyway. As you can see, Ridley's running toward the elevator, and we've got some basic, you know, happy-sounding music. When we get to the elevator, we've got some doors closing, and it starts to move. And as you can hear, the basses come in. And the elevator has lost power, and we've lost some instruments. As you can probably tell, the music still sounds happy, but there's definitely something wrong. There's a problem in the way. There's an obstacle, but we can get through it. Just been told how to Thundershock with Pikachu, and we're gonna do that. And as soon as Pikachu jumpstarts the elevator, all of the music comes back in. We've got bass, we've got drums, we've got the melody tracks. Everything is happy. And then we fade into the cosmos, and we play the little intro sequence that I'm working on, and it's changed the music completely. It's the same song, but we get this feeling of we are outside of the level. We're having an out-of-body experience right now. And then eventually, once I finish it up, it's gonna teleport you to a different location in the level, load it in, and you'll be able to continue on with the level, but for now, this is what it is. But you get the idea. I'm using the music to indicate to the player what the mood is, and that they are making progress. Yeah, I slapped Brock. Anyway, so yeah, that should hopefully help you bring some extra life to your level, especially if it feels kind of bland as you're playing through it. You can definitely use the interactive music to your advantage there. In the next tutorial, I'm gonna show you guys how I pulled off the speech bubbles in this level. How I made it look like Brock's words are coming out of Brock's mouth, and Ridley's words are coming out of Ridley's mouth. And how you can do that using sequencers. But anyway, I've been Michael, and I hope you learned something, and as always, thanks for watching.